affordable diagnostic imaging. Father's Day with a bang. Right, so we are going to give this new Tilta contraption a go. I'll show you what it looks like for those of you that are interested, set up in the car. So there you go, we've got the Tilta Suction Cup there, camera's rigged up there, that's my DJI wireless mic, that's my little screen showing me everything's looking alright, exposed correctly, etc. That tells me that we've got 86% suction on the window. So when that drops to sub 80, it will reattach itself to make sure that that is 100% secure, not going anywhere. Now that is held on by a bargain magic arm, which I'll put a link for. Newly acquired Smallrig Cage, all nicely done, all set up nicely. So that's what it looks like, and let's see how it works on the road. Fingers crossed that's still going to be there. Now at the corner of my eye I can see it wobbling. Now my friend Zane has got one of these and he's invested in a tripod ball head, like a spare ball head. He's attached that to the Tilta Suction Cup, and then the camera on a normal sort of Arca Swiss to that, and that seems to be working really well for him. So I'm intrigued as to what this is going to look like for me, because from where I'm looking now, that camera is all over the show, just flexing away and swinging away on the end of that magic arm. But one thing is for certain, it is secure. That suction cup, we're at 82%, so we have still got plenty of power there holding it on. On here, on this setup, we're filming on the Sony A7 IV, so we have got in-body stabilisation turned on, so that is a big bonus, that is a big advantage. I've got a bit of in-body stabilisation. I'm on Sony's 16-35 f4 Ziess lens. Now this is an old lens, this is one of the original E-mount lenses, and I have to say it is still one of the best lenses that you can really get for Sony. In my humble opinion, it does have optical stabilisation, so we're going to see how smooth that makes all this footage look as I'm driving on the UK's roads. Now if you're from the UK, you know the roads around here aren't very good, especially in the Staffordshire area, which is where I am. The roads are terrible, notoriously bad. So we're going to see some bumps, we're going to see some shudders, but you're going to join me on the entire drive home, more or less. We are leaving the Stoke Hospital where I've just had an MRI. Nothing serious, lower back problems that have been ongoing for a while now. There we go, we've gone from 80% up to 100% again. I don't know if you heard that. And away we go from the green light. So yeah, so as I was saying, Sony 16-35, the Ziess lens, the older Ziess lens, does have built-in optical stabilisation. So here we are travelling along with a very shaky camera mount. I'll put the phone on it shortly to give you an idea as to sort of, well, I can't because I'm driving. You're not supposed to do that in the UK, so I can't show you that. But at the corner of my eye, that camera is wobbling. Now, as I say, Zane has cured this. He's put a ball head on the suction grip and put that straight into an Arca Swiss plate on the cage. So he's got around it that way and it doesn't have any movement. We don't have that. We have this magic arm that's got it on a bit of a reach, so there is quite a lot of flex and swing there. In fact, there's a terrible amount I'm looking at now. But we'll see what this looks like in post with the stabilisation of the Sony A7 IV and this 16-35 lens. Now I'm going to talk about that lens a bit more. It's an old lens, but it is definitely worth considering. They do newer versions, slightly nicer features perhaps, but this one, it's notoriously sharp. It's a fantastic quality lens as far as the image it creates. It's got optical stabilisation, as I mentioned. Not many of them do, not many of the zoom lenses do. The new one doesn't, the new f4 lens doesn't, and the G Master 2.8s don't either. Lots of potholes around here. That camera is, I think that's actually just zoomed out. It shook the car that hard. The G Master doesn't have the optical stabilisation, but you are getting f4 rather than f2.8. But really, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a huge trade-off. So some people would say, well, f2.8, you're going to get more background separation, you're going to get that slightly better blur. But let me tell you now, on a 16-35, you are talking fairly wide angle. So you're never going to get that background separation anyway. Your background separation comes from a good telephoto lens. The longer the lens, the better the background separation, which I can go into more detail about if you'd like to know. Just let me know and I'll talk more about that. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to assume you understand that. So 16-35, you are never going to get huge amounts of background separation, huge amounts of bokeh. So that going from an f4 to an f2.8 isn't really going to make a huge difference. Certainly at 16mm and at 20mm, sort of your vlogging lenses, your wide lenses, at 35mm you are going to see a bit of a difference, but again, not a huge amount. The big difference is the amount of light you get between an f2.8 and an f4. Now, again, I'll assume there's a basic level of knowledge there. If I need to, or if you want me to go into it more, please do let me know, and I will talk about it in another video, I'm sure I will. But the difference between an f2.8 and an f4 is one stop of light. So they measure light in stops. Don't ask me why, no idea. But one full stop of light. So the difference between an f1.8 to an f2.8 is one stop, f2.8 to f4 is one stop, f4 to f5.6 is one stop. All these weird and wonderful rules that I picked up over a few years, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick them up too, so do not worry about them. That camera's shaking everywhere. I really need to speak to Zane about this ball head solution, because this is mental. So it's the stop of light that is a difference. But to put that into perspective for you, to shoot on S-Log3 on the Sony camera, that I think is moving, yeah, it is moving. I really need to get this sorted. To shoot on the S-Log3 profile, I shoot at 800 ISO. The difference that one stop makes is jumping from 800 to 1600. So if ever I needed a bit more light, I could go from 800 to 1600, and that's not a significant jump. It really isn't. Especially on these modern cameras, it's not going to make a big difference. Now, and again, that's great, but let's say you're on an f2.8 and you already have to shoot at 3200 ISO because it's a little bit lower light. To get that one stop back at 3200 ISO, you're going to jump to 6400 ISO, so it is a big jump at that point. But realistically, there's never been a situation light-wise where I've thought, I really could have done with an f2.8. Longer lenses, telephoto lenses, 24 to 70, all day long. I want 2.8, I don't want f4, I want that brighter, all day long telephoto lenses, I want that brighter lens, I want the 2.8, I want that bokeh that you can get, because again you can zoom in a lot further, that background separation looks better, the bokeh looks better at that kind of length. At 16-35mm doesn't really make a great deal of difference given the distances that we're talking about. But that said, A7 IV stabilisation, things inflating again, keeping itself well and truly stuck on there. The thing that's letting me down here is without a doubt the Magic Arm. Now the Magic Arm is rock solid, that's a fantastic little bit of kit, and I'm not upset with having purchased that, but because of the length of it, as it's fastened to the sort of Tilta Suction Cup, it's just flexing too much. So I need a more direct way of fastening them, and as I say, my friend Zane has said he has got that cured, he has got that sorted. But yeah, at the minute it's just a bit shaky, a bit flexy. I wish there was a way I could show you driving along, but that said, I am a moderately law-abiding citizen, so if I was to get hold of my phone and start filming that up there, that's not going to be great, is it? So yeah. we'll not do that. But yeah, Sony 16-35 f4 Ziess version E-mount, 100% still recommend it. Negatives, there are negatives. The lens body itself is incredibly susceptible to being marked. It's a black metal lens, and it is a metal lens. It's got some weight to it, it's got some heft. It's a quality feeling lens, not like these plastic ones, not like the Tamron 28-75, which I also have. That is a very plasticky feeling lens. This is a very, very, very metal lens. But that black finish on it does scratch off quite easily. So I baby my gear, to be fair. It doesn't really get... The 16-35 I've never used a great deal anyway. I've always liked primes. When I've shot weddings, the 16-35s come out now and then, but I've generally stuck to... I've got a 35-150 Tamron, which is fantastic, and I've got and I've usually rented the 50mm 1.2 G Master, which is outstanding. So the 16-35 hasn't had huge amounts of use, but it is probably one of my oldest lenses. So the 16-35 hasn't had huge amounts of use, but it is probably one of my oldest lenses. This lens is probably about 4 years old in my camera bag, maybe even 5 years now. Yeah, it is a rock. Please hold there, we're going through a tree tunnel, so there's no light. Does that help? We'll not bother with that. So yeah, I've had the lens for about 4 years now. It's got a couple of little marks here and there. You can buy skins for them. You can buy these like vinyl graphics that you stick over them to make them look and keep them protected and such. But I've never been that bothered about it. But it's a solid bit of lens. The shake on this though is, like I say, I don't know what this footage is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to look watchable. Hopefully it will, because I always do think that people say it's all about sound quality. Hopefully the audio is coming through all right on this bad boy. So hopefully that's not really going to be much of an issue. This is the DJI. Is it DJI? Yeah, DJI wireless mics, the original ones. But yeah. So yeah, Tilta Suction Cup grip, stuck on like a champion, not going anywhere. And that little camera rig that's got some weight to it. Magic arm, fantastic. Probably not the best thing for holding the camera and lens onto the suction cup, because it's going to be putting a bit more pressure on the suction cup, because it's always shaking around. It's going to be trying to work itself loose. But again, luckily, that suction cup detects once it's below 80% peak performance. Once it gets to that below 80%, it just re-sucks itself back on up to 100% and just monitors itself constantly. I'll put links below. They will be affiliate links. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so no one's paying me to talk about these things. But the little magic arm's alright, just not suitable for this job. It really isn't. A7 IV cracking. I'll tell you what I will talk about in the near future, if you want to watch and keep watching. My Sony A7 III. I still have my Sony A7 III, and the wife keeps saying, "No, why do you get rid of it? Why do you get rid of it?" I don't do weddings anymore. But I don't want to get rid of it, because you never know when you're going to want a second camera. But yeah, I don't want to get rid of it. It's a nice. I don't want to get rid of the A7 IV, the A7 III. I don't want to get rid of the A7 III. It's a brilliant camera, love it. But I will talk about that, because you don't have to buy the latest and greatest. The A7 IV, I bought that thinking it was going to change my world, and the flip out screen is pretty good. I cannot deny the flip out screen is good, but is it essential? Depends on what you're doing. My photos were no better for having an A7 IV. The videos are no better for having an A7 IV. Other than I can check myself in them, but then I end up looking at the screen rather than the lens and all that kind of jazz. But the A7 III is definitely still a cracking bit of kit to be buying in 2025. So don't feel like you need to spend the money on an A7 IV without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, that's it. That's me waffling on the drive home from having an MRI. On a side note, if you have to have an MRI, noisy as anything. Sounds like a German techno in there, just buzzing away. I don't suffer from claustrophobia either, but when I went into that machine, the only way I could do it really was just to kind of close my eyes and pretend I wasn't there, because it is a little bit daunting. So, but hey, that is what it is. Anyway, back home in a second. So, I will bid you all farewell and speak to you soon.